Well, again, I think Busby's talking too much. I mean, who does he represent? Does he represent himself or does he represent actual clients? I think these are two separate.
The Diddy case keeps growing more complicated by the day, with seemingly a new lawsuit emerging every time you blink. As the situation unfolds, a heavyweight lawyer has entered the scene, Ben Chew. Yes, the same Ben Chew who helped Johnny Depp win his high-profile case in 2022. Chew is no ordinary attorney. He's a member of the exclusive American College of Trial Lawyers, an invite-only group representing the top 1% of trial lawyers in the U.S.'s involvement in Diddy's case signals that this situation is one to watch closely. Chew didn't hold back when addressing the explosive allegations in the case. If you recall, back in November, Diddy's legal team filed court documents disputing the government's claims, accusing prosecutors of misleading the court. According to Chew, when someone is falsely accused, they often push back hard, both legally and in the court of public opinion. This is a well-established strategy, but with accusations of this magnitude, any response must carry equal weight.
The PR, assuming, of course, that he is innocent of that, I think these are the kinds of allegations that one would expect someone falsely accused to push back on extremely strong.
Now that Jay-Z is facing another lawsuit, Ben Chew's insights are shifting everything we thought we knew about the case. From the looks of it, Diddy might be prepared to implicate Jay-Z if it means saving himself. In case you missed it, the latest lawsuit includes shocking allegations that a 13-year-old was reportedly thrown against a wall, onto a bed, and mistreated by both Jay-Z and Diddy. This revelation left people stunned, especially since Jay-Z wasn't even mentioned in the original filing. His name was only added when the lawsuit was recently amended. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. Chew highlighted a potential game changer, a female witness referred to as Celebrity B, who was allegedly present during the incident.
One thing that leapt out to me is the allegations also include that there was a witness,
Yes.
Other than Diddy, who a female, another woman. Her testimony, and obviously she will be subpoenaed.
If Celebrity B is brought in, her testimony could either support the plaintiff's claims or completely dismantle them. However, Chew isn't optimistic about the case, questioning whether the plaintiff can build a solid argument against both Jay-Z and Diddy, especially considering Jay-Z has never faced accusations like this before. Amid all this, Jay-Z's legal team has denied any connection between him and Diddy, claiming they've never had a relationship. This may sound unbelievable, given their long history together and Jay-Z's presence at numerous Diddy events over the years.
At his various get-togethers dating back to 1998.
Let's be real, this could all just be business. No one is claiming Jay-Z or Diddy did anything wrong, but their connections have people talking. One user pointed out that it's hard to believe these men were so close without sharing similar interests. As for Celebrity B, Chew suggests there may be more at play. He speculates that Tony Busby, the attorney in this case, might have already tried reaching out to her to secure her cooperation, and possibly even offer a deal to keep her out of trouble.
Everyone else into it and can have that moment as well.
Well, of course, this is all about icons, and Diddy, you are a super icon. And there's so many photos out there, but the one of you and Jay-Z really stands out to me. What was that moment? Do you remember that time?
Yeah, that was at one of my birthday parties, and I was just telling him I appreciate it.
Chew highlighted a major issue. If Celebrity B admits to knowing about the incident but didn't report it, she could face legal consequences. While the statute of limitations for failing to report the crime has likely expired, it's still damaging to her reputation. Denying any knowledge of the situation would be the safer route for her, as it would help her avoid getting dragged further into the controversy. The legal risks and public backlash could make it a tough spot for Celebrity B to navigate, especially as she's pressured to testify.
To Celebrity B, this female celebrity who was in that room, do you think this person has settled maybe her claims with Tony Busby? What do I mean by that? If she was present, I imagine that Tony Busby might have reached out to her and said, listen, I can file a lawsuit against you too because of you being there. You were present. You were a witness. Maybe. Do you think that this is a person who maybe already settled her claim so that she would be a cooperating witness for Tony Busby's case? I mean, tell me how you think that might work.
Chew also analyzed Tony Busby's public strategy, particularly how he dropped Jay-Z's name as Celebrity A after the failed mediation talks. Offering mediation first is standard practice, as it allows a chance for a quiet settlement before going to court. However, Chew criticized Busby for bringing the case into the media spotlight, calling it a risky move. He pointed out that this approach isn't typical for seasoned professionals who usually keep things more discreet before any public exposure.
Is dubious for the reasons you mentioned. I mean, Celebrity B, while it would be a terrible thing not to have reported these crimes, and they're very serious crimes if in fact they were committed, but it's unclear what, if any, civil liability Celebrity B would not have or would have for not being a good Samaritan. I mean, I think the statute on that, to the extent that there's any liability for not reporting, had long since been passed. So I don't think she would have any legal or factual incentive to make such a deal. I think her incentive would be not to cooperate at all and to deny that she witnessed any such thing.
Right. Let's get into a little bit of this legal warfare that's going on. What do you make of the fact that Busby revealed Jay-Z as Celebrity A based on what he says was a failure to meet on mediation, that this was a standard demand letter?
Let's be honest, getting into a back and forth with the media doesn't always end well. It can easily backfire, making your client look worse in the process. Then there's the issue of whether the plaintiff should remain anonymous. For those who don't know, the law on anonymity in certain cases, like allegations of sexual assault, has been clear since 1976. Victims of specific offenses are granted lifelong anonymity after filing a complaint. This protection can only be lifted under certain circumstances, such as if the victim chooses to go public or if a court orders it to encourage witnesses to come forward. However, some argue this protection shouldn't apply if there's a suspicion of false claims. Chu agrees with this perspective, siding with Jay-Z's legal team. He believes serious accusations shouldn't automatically grant the accuser anonymity unless there's a legitimate threat to their safety.
I have one problem. I mean, he's right in the sense, as you know, Jesse, that it's standard and it's smart to give a potential defendant an opportunity to settle prior to filing a lawsuit, because at that point, the plaintiff would have kind of detonated the grenade and forced the defendant in a position where he almost has to fight. Whereas when you send a demand letter and say that you're interested to...
Chu then shifted focus to another issue connected to Busby's firm. Court documents revealed that a woman claimed the firm pressured her to fabricate accusations against Sean Combs. For Chu, this wasn't directly about helping Jay-Z's case. He believed it was more about potential bar complaints against Busby. Still, if the claims were true, they could significantly damage the firm's reputation. However, Chu wasn't convinced that any of this would be admissible as evidence in the current case.
The public has a right to know who she is. She is the one who filed the lawsuit, put her credibility into issue by voluntarily filing a lawsuit. Who's right?
I have fairly strong opinions on this, since I've had several clients who've been in that position, and I think that Jay-Z's counsel is absolutely right on this. If you make serious allegations of this nature, you shouldn't be able to hide behind the shield of anonymity. These are incredibly serious. I mean, to me, I would rather be accused of murder than of a child. If you were going to make these kinds of allegations, I think you have to be revealed. Now, exceptions for that are the ones you mentioned. If this victim or alleged victim were still underage, I think there'd be a strong argument for protecting what would be a child. But this is an adult woman at this point. Second exception is the one you also referenced, the possibility of violence. Now that's quite real, and I think that's something the judge would have to weigh. Although I don't think there's any indication that anything emanated from Jay-Z's.
Ben didn't sugarcoat it. He believes the tension between the legal teams is only going to intensify as things unfold.
Final update. So Jay-Z's counsel filed a letter with the court saying that this woman called their offices, and she says that she had called Tony Busby's firm regarding allegations of, but she made it clear to them it had nothing to do with Sean Combs. She says, first, the firm representative asked her, when did you meet Diddy? And she reemphasized again, my claims aren't about him. She said that they encouraged her to proceed anonymously, even though she claims she didn't want to. They also allegedly discouraged her from contacting law enforcement, and she said she felt pressured to make false claims about being held down, physically assaulted. And she says when she refused to adopt that narrative, Busby's firm dropped her as a client. And the associate who spoke with this woman recounted this conversation in a sworn declaration with the court. Now, Jay-Z's firm says this is further evidence that Jane Doe, in Jay-Z's case, shouldn't be able to proceed anonymously, and that Jay-Z and his team have a right to thoroughly investigate and respond to these allegations. Now, according to TMZ, Busby responded to this, saying, "This is so ridiculous. If someone calls our intake and has a viable case that we believe has merit and we can pursue, we will pursue it. We are currently pursuing hundreds of cases against individuals other than P. Diddy. What we won't do is pursue a case that we don't believe has merit. I can't speak to what she told the intake folks to even tell you what this woman claimed if and when she called." But then he says, "We certainly don't need to pressure anyone to pursue a case." And he also introduced a filing where he's going to say, "I'm going to respond in due time with a memorandum of law and other appropriate means," but he was basically denying this happened. Ben, your thoughts?
Some sources agree, suggesting that this could be the perfect opportunity for Jay-Z to trap Busby if he doesn't start playing his cards more strategically. Despite how messy the case is getting, Chu seems to be addressing all the key issues. One user didn't hesitate to comment, saying, "Ben Chu is literally the only professional guest I'd like to listen to on here. He knows what he's talking about, and he just seems trustworthy with a lot of integrity." Would you have predicted this dramatic twist in the Diddy case? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because this case is heating up, and the next reveal is sure to get everyone talking.